All right. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this week's mindful session. It's an honor to be able to host these sessions for you all. My name is Jean, and this week we will be talking about connecting at breakfast. So, make breakfast a ritual for starting the day by being present for each other. What mindfulness really is about is paying attention to our values, our intentions, and the choices we make. So, meeting with someone else for coffee or breakfast is one of those choices. And some people may say that they don't have enough time to set aside on time to connect at breakfast with a busy schedule in the morning. But there are things that we can do to kind of make more time in our schedule. And we'll be talking about some of those in today's session. So, some things that we should keep in mind while we're connecting with someone over breakfast. First is to take note of your company and acknowledge them and acknowledge the other person who you're having breakfast with, because as you may notice, when you meet someone and when the other person acknowledges you, you feel this kind of positive hit of respect. And we should do the same for others as well. So, taking note of our company. And one thing that we can do, as I said earlier, as we talked about earlier, if you have a busy morning schedule and you want to make time to connect with someone over breakfast, one thing that you can do to free up your schedule is to prep your breakfast the night before. So this could be like a yogurt or anything that you can kind of put in a to-go kind of jar or container. And it definitely depends on who you're having breakfast with. Prepping the night before can also help you have more time to have breakfast with your family members, or if you are wanting to have breakfast with someone outside of your house, then it will allow you to have more time to kind of free up that time to have breakfast instead of prepping for breakfast the day of. And another thing we should keep in mind is to eliminate distractions. So this kind of ties in with the first tip that we talked about of trying to acknowledge the other person, because when we have distractions by our side, especially things like technology, with phones and other technology, it would be hard to communicate to the other person that we acknowledge them. So we want to eliminate distractions and also practice the mindful quality of being aware and being in the present. And maybe focusing on the conversation, focusing on the other person, focusing on your surroundings. And all of this can be done without without those distractions. So trying to let go of those distractions and kind of set them aside and focus on what's happening in the present. And finally, another thing that we might want to do is to eat and drink mindfully. And there are definitely a lot of benefits to mindful eating, which we will discuss about later in our discussion section. But what is eating and drinking mindfully? Eating mindfully and drinking mindfully is really being requires your mind to be in the present and constantly paying attention when you're eating, paying attention to the taste of what you're eating, being aware of any feelings that you might have when you're eating, and observing, am I hungry or am I thirsty? if you would want to change your eating habits, a big thing is to notice what are your current eating habits, being aware of some problems, maybe, or some habits that you've developed. And this requires us to be mindful and to practice mindful eating. All right, now that we've gone through some of these things, we're going to transition to our mindful session. And before we do that, I would like us all to take 3 deep breaths. So breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. All right, let me share my sound and enjoy. right? Now that we have finished our mindful session, our mindful practice, we will transition to our discussion session. So, thinking about some of the questions on here, what are your weekday mornings like? How can we incorporate mindfulness into our breakfast? And what is the importance of mindful eating? So for me, typically my weekday mornings are pretty busy since I have to go to school and I have to eat breakfast by 7. So my weekday mornings are typically busy. I usually try to incorporate mindfulness into my breakfast by trying to eat mindfully. So giving yourself more time to eat breakfast so that you can kind of take your time a little bit and not be too rushful. And I try to connect with my family members over breakfast, although it is a bit difficult sometimes since everybody's schedule is busy. What is the importance of mindful eating? Um, the first thing that I can think of is that mindful eating helps with digestion because when you are eating mindfully, you often take your time and you eat slower and you chew more. So that's better for your body. And you are more aware of when you've had enough so that it reduces the chance that you're going to overeat a lot, which might make you feel uncomfortable. And mindful eating also helps you kind of connect with your body in a way. And kind of get you into that mindful mindset. A good breakfast is a start of a good day. So I would recommend if everyone has time to make time to eat breakfast. And what would be even better is to connect with others over breakfast. Thank you all so much for joining me for this week's Mindful Moment session. I hope you all have a great week ahead.